In Massachusetts right now, those crisis pregnancy centers that are there to fool people who are looking for pregnancy termination help outnumber true abortion clinics by 3 to 1. We need to shut them down here in Massachusetts, and we need to shut them down all around the country. You should not be able to torture a pregnant person like that.
I'm sick of having my mental condition come into question.
I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be.
Welcome to the show, your one-on-one with Weston Sports Guy here on YouTube, BitChute, Rumble, and Odyssey, and online all the time at westonsportsguy.com. Make sure you bookmark that site to get the podcast link, all my social media links, also previews, recaps, weekly reviews. The NFL season is just around the corner. Make sure you bookmark westonsportsguy.com because I will be pumping out all those weekly reviews after every week of the 17-game season in the NFL, which is just around the corner. And the topic of this week's episode, my top 5 NFL storylines going into the 2022 season.
You play to win the game. But they are who we thought they were. And we let them off the hook. Cannot play with them. Cannot win with them. Cannot coach with them. Can't do it.
Now, you might have some different storylines that are more centric to your team. I'd like to hear what you think are your top 5 NFL storylines. Leave a comment below, whether it be at YouTube, BitChute, Rumble, or Odyssey. And if you don't agree with my storylines, that's perfectly fine. But if you're more centric to your team, or you feel there are some storylines that are missing, I want to hear from you. Leave a comment below. Again, whether at YouTube, BitChute, Rumble, or Odyssey. For number 5, top 5 storylines going into the NFL season for 2022, it is Lamar Jackson, quarterback of the Baltimore Ravens. Will he be getting a contract extension before the season starts, or will it have to be in the midway point or after the season with a possible franchise tag coming to him after this season? It's going to be interesting to see what happens with him because we just had Kyler Murray recently getting his contract extension for not even winning a playoff game for the Arizona Cardinals in his young career so far, but did get them finally to the playoffs last year. They were bounced pretty quickly by the eventual Super Bowl champion LA Rams in the first matchup of their playoffs respectively. But Kyler Murray gets his extension, pretty hefty pay raise, I might say. And Lamar Jackson, is he due for a similar type of an extension, or is he going to get more money than what Kyler Murray got? Because there is some actual playoff wins in Lamar Jackson's favor. Is he going to get more money than Kyler Murray? But that's the benchmark now. What's going to happen with his contract going into this season, which is a pivotal one, not only for Lamar, but for Baltimore as well, and if they're going to stay in the upper hierarchy of the AFC. My number 4 top NFL storyline in the NFL going into the 2022 season is, will the LA Rams repeat as Super Bowl champions? This is a team that is basically built to win now in the very foreseeable future, in the next 2 seasons roughly, having won a Super Bowl last year, winning it in their home stadium at SoFi in Los Angeles. But are they going to repeat again? This team is essentially the same. You still got Matthew Stafford, Cooper Kupp. You don't have Odell Beckham Jr. there anymore as a receiver, although he could sign at some point, coming off of a torn ACL in that Super Bowl. But they did bring in Allen Robinson now as another receiving target for Matthew Stafford. The running backs are still intact. Offensive line took a couple hits, but it's still relatively solid. The defense is what it is with Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey. I could go on and on and on. But will this team repeat? That's going to be a big storyline going into the season. My third storyline going into the NFL season is the NFC has now become the weakest conference in the NFL after having some relatively good years of being a very top, not say top heavy, but a very balanced conference in that you have a lot of teams vying for different spots in different divisions. As in years past, you could see New Orleans and Tampa Bay going at the division title. You also had Atlanta in there for a while at the same time with the Saints. The NFC West has always been a juggernaut for the most part, better part of almost a decade it seems. They've had some times where they've been the weakest division, but they've definitely been a very tough division top and bottom. But now you're looking at it now with the NFC from top to bottom, it is definitely more top heavy than anything because you have the Rams, you have Tampa Bay, you have Green Bay as well. Aaron Rodgers is still there. You have San Francisco. They're still a contender right now, even though the quarterback position looks a little different. But nothing's happened with Jimmy Garoppolo yet. And you still have Trey Lance, who's probably going to be the guy now. But with Frisco, Green Bay, the Rams, you also have the Cowboys. The Eagles made some moves. They're jumping, could be jumping ahead of the Dallas Cowboys going into this season. There's a lot going on in the MC, but it's more top heavy than ever. Do you see a Carolina? Do you see an Atlanta? Is New Orleans going to bounce back with Jameis Winston being fully healthy? There's a lot of question marks in that one. Minnesota, Detroit, Chicago. Really? Do you see them challenging the Green Bay Packers for that division? I don't. Outside of Philly and Dallas in that weak NFC East, Washington, the Giants, no, it's not going to happen. The NFC West even took a hit. With Arizona, yes, they did make the playoffs last year, but aside from them, Seattle, they're not what they used to be. So that's a big storyline for me going into this season is the weakness of the NFC after the top 4 or 5 teams. My number 2 storyline heading into the NFL season is who is going to be the top team in the AFC. That is the juggernaut going forward in the NFL. And you could say, after seeing the surprise of the Cincinnati Bengals making it to the Super Bowl last year, they are now considered a top-tier team because, yes, it'd be nice if you won the Super Bowl, but getting to it, especially for a team like the Bungles, that we've referred to them as for many, many years, they are now considered contenders going forward. You still have Baltimore in the mix in that division of the AFC North. Cleveland, now that you have Deshaun Watson, they're considered a contender right now, tentatively, depending on what his suspension could be. Then you have the AFC East. Buffalo's there. The Patriots are still there with Bill Belichick. Miami's made some improvements. Are they going to be contenders now? The AFC South, you have Tennessee and Indianapolis now with Matt Ryan in tow as their quarterback for the Colts. But then the AFC West paints a whole new picture with the moves that have happened in that division alone. That is going to be the spotlight going forward. Who's going to come out of that division? Kansas City. Denver's got a new quarterback. The Vegas Raiders have Devontae Adams with his college teammate at Fresno State. Derek Carr throwing him the football now. And, of course, the LA Chargers made some big splashy moves in the offseason with a great young quarterback in Justin Herbert. They are tired of playing second fiddle to the LA Rams in Los Angeles. That division alone is a big storyline. But with those 4 teams getting into the mix with the rest of the AFC, this is a storyline I'm going to be interested to see going forward. And my number 1 storyline going into the 2022 season is this finally going to be the year that Buffalo puts it all the way through and gets not only back to the Super Bowl after being there for 4 consecutive years, but are they going to actually win a Super Bowl? I've been extremely, extremely excited to see what Buffalo's putting together there, and it's going to finally come to fruition. Did I say they're going to make the Super Bowl or win it? But I think it's finally going to be getting to that point where at least, at minimum, you finally get to an AFC title game. You at minimum going to get to that. You'll have to find out what my final predictions are going to be going into the NFL season that's just around the corner. Make sure you bookmark westthesportsguy.com if you want to see the preview of all 32 NFL teams, who I think is going to make the playoffs, who's going to ultimately win the Super Bowl. But Buffalo, tentatively right now, I've got you at least in the AFC title game, and I believe you guys are going to finish near the top of the AFC going forward. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe and hit that bell below to get notified when all the latest videos are posted on this channel, whether it be at YouTube, BitChute, Rumble, or Odyssey. Bookmark westthesportsguy.com for all the social media links, the podcast link, everything conveniently located for you at westthesportsguy.com. I will see you next time.